Did Drake just admit defeat to Kendrick Lamar? That's the question echoing across the hip-hop landscape, stirring debates, headlines, and endless fan theories. Welcome to Celebrity Rap Life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary. Because in Celebrity Rap Life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. The Canadian superstar has built an empire off confidence, calculated moves, and chart dominance. But with his latest release, the ICEMAN series, Drake seems to have cracked open a window into something the world rarely sees from him: vulnerability. His newest track, That's Just How I Feel, has the internet buzzing, not just because of the music itself, but because of what it might represent. A quiet admission that last summer's explosive battle with Kendrick Lamar didn't go his way. This isn't just another rap storyline. This is the aftermath of one of the most seismic feuds in recent memory. When Drake and Kendrick locked horns, the culture stopped to pay attention. Every diss track became an event. Every bar was dissected like scripture. It wasn't simply about who had the sharper punchlines. It was about legacy, about who would walk away cemented as the face of an era. And for the first time in his career, Drake wasn't in control of the narrative. He was reacting. He was scrambling. He was on defense. Now, months later, when the dust had seemingly settled, Drake is revisiting that battleground in his own way. And the line he delivers, "I fucked up last summer," lands heavier than almost anything else he said since. To the casual ear, it might sound like Drake brushing off life's ups and downs. But to those who followed the feud closely, it feels like something much deeper. It feels like a concession. The ICEMAN series itself is an unusual move for Drake. It's part short film, part album rollout, part emotional diary. Each chapter strips back the glossy veneer of celebrity and places Drake in moody, late-night settings that almost feel confessional. No flashy visuals. No entourages. Just Drake, his car, his city, and his thoughts. In this stripped-back frame, every word feels magnified. Every lyric sounds like a revelation. And that's exactly why That's Just How I Feel has taken on such weight. The track doesn't call Kendrick out by name. That would have been too obvious, too expected. Instead, Drake leaves enough ambiguity for interpretation, but that one line has sparked a firestorm. Fans on social media instantly connected it to the feud. Twitter threads popped up breaking down the lyrics, TikToks went viral replaying the moment over and over, and Reddit discussions lit up with theories. Was Drake finally acknowledging the power of Not Like Us, the Kendrick track that became more than just a diss record? Was he conceding that last summer wasn't just a blip, but a moment where the cultural tide turned against him? To understand the weight of this, you have to revisit what went down last summer. The beef between Drake and Kendrick didn't happen in isolation. It was years in the making. Kendrick had always positioned himself as the uncompromising craftsman, the voice of truth, the rapper who held the genre accountable. Drake, on the other hand, was the hitmaker, the crossover star who blurred lines between rap, R&B, and pop. Their worlds were destined to collide, and when they finally did, it was nothing short of explosive. Kendrick's Not Like Us became a cultural phenomenon. It wasn't just another diss track, it was a rallying cry. It turned into a summer anthem, blasting from car speakers, dominating playlists, and even being chanted in sports arenas. The song cut through every layer of society, to the point where it became a shorthand for calling Drake out. No matter what response Drake had, he couldn't shake the fact that Kendrick's track had taken on a life of its own. Drake fired back with his own diss records, and while they made noise, they didn't have the same staying power. His words were sharp, his flow polished, but they lacked the raw cultural grip of Not Like Us. For the first time, Drake felt the sting of losing not just in music, but in public perception. Fans weren't just debating bars, they were declaring Kendrick the winner. The fallout was massive. Drake, who had always controlled narratives, suddenly looked like he was chasing them. And when legal drama entered the picture, Drake filing lawsuits tied to production elements, it only reinforced the image of someone scrambling to regain control. To the public, it looked less like strategy and more like desperation. Even if the lawsuit had merit, it couldn't erase the fact that the culture had already chosen sides. Kendrick had won the court of opinion. That's why That's Just How I Feel is hitting so hard now. By saying he fucked up, Drake is doing something he's never really done before, showing cracks in the armor. He's not the invincible, untouchable chart topper in this moment. He's a man admitting he made mistakes. And whether or not he's directly conceding to Kendrick, fans are connecting the dots because of the timing, the history, and the lingering wound of last summer. What makes it even more compelling is Drake's history of carefully managing his image. He has always been strategic, crafting narratives where he's the protagonist, the one in control. Even when controversy hit, Drake spun it into an advantage, using it to fuel more music, more success, more dominance. That's why this moment feels different. It's not polished spin, it feels raw, unfiltered, and almost reluctant. It's Drake dropping the mask, if only for a moment, and letting people see the weight he's carrying. And let's be clear, admitting vulnerability in hip-hop is not easy. The genre thrives on bravado, on projecting dominance, on never letting your rival see weakness. To admit mistakes, especially after a battle, can feel like forfeiting ground. Yet that's exactly what makes it resonate. Because in a world where everyone is trying to prove they're invincible, showing humanity can be even more powerful. The reaction has been split. Some fans see it as maturity, Drake evolving into an artist willing to reflect honestly. Others see it as proof that Kendrick broke him, that the battle left scars Drake can't ignore. Either way, the fact that it sparked so much conversation proves how deeply this feud has embedded itself in the culture. Months later, people are still dissecting every move, every lyric, every sign of acknowledgement. But here's the thing, Drake knows exactly what he's doing. The ICEMAN series isn't just random content, it's calculated storytelling. By including that line, by dropping it in such a stripped-down context, he ensured people would latch onto it. Whether it's a real admission of defeat or just Drake toying with perception, it works. It reignites the conversation. It keeps him in the center of discourse. It's classic Drake, vulnerable, but still in control of the bigger picture. And yet, even with that in mind, there's no denying the shift in tone. This isn't the same Drake who brushed off Pusha T years ago. This isn't the Drake who turned every feud into fuel for more dominance. This is a Drake who knows he lost ground, who knows the culture saw him stumble, and who's processing what that means for his legacy. That's why the moment feels so human, so heavy, and so significant. Because at the end of the day, the Drake vs. Kendrick saga wasn't just about two rappers trading disses. It was about the clash of archetypes, commercial dominance versus uncompromising artistry, mass appeal versus cultural credibility. Kendrick's victory, whether Drake admits it outright or not, shifted the balance. It reminded the world that artistry, authenticity, and cultural resonance can outweigh even the biggest star power. And now, Drake, the man who rarely concedes anything, has let slip that he fucked up. It's not a headline he wanted. It's not a spin his team would craft. But it's the truth, delivered in a late-night drive, set to the backdrop of a moody track, in the middle of a series that feels more like therapy than marketing. So, did Drake just admit defeat to Kendrick Lamar? That depends on how you interpret it. Some will say yes, this is the closest Drake will ever come to saying out loud that he lost. Others will say no, he's too strategic, too deliberate, and this is just another layer in the story he's weaving. But one thing is undeniable, the line struck a nerve. It reopened a conversation that many thought was over. And it reminded everyone that even at the top, even with all the accolades, even with a decade of dominance, Drake isn't untouchable. He's human. He's vulnerable. And for once, he let us see it. And that's just how he feels. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.